Hey guys, if you are looking to lose weight permanently, then you need to watch this video. So in this video, I'm going to be discussing the MyFitnessPal app and its effectiveness for long-term weight loss. And when I say weight loss, I always mean fat loss, of course. And I expect to get a little bit of hate for this video because I know a lot of people use MyFitnessPal for weight loss, and I used to too. And so in this video, I'm going to be discussing why I think it's good, why I think it's bad, and why I stopped using it personally for controlling my calories, and why I think that a lot of people need to as well for better success with their diet. Oh, and if you stick around to the end, I'm going to be giving you my #1 tip on how to make your diet more effective. So first of all, what is the MyFitnessPal app? So the MyFitnessPal app is an app which enables you to log your calories, log your food over the day, either by searching their food database or by scanning the barcode on the back of the food packets that you eat. And so MyFitnessPal enables you to set a calorie target. And so over the day, you can see where you are in relation to that. It also enables you to see how much protein, fats, and carbohydrates you are eating, and whether you're hitting those targets, and also the nutrients in your food as well, so things like vitamins and minerals. So I personally used MyFitnessPal for a number of years to control my food intake, to measure my food intake, to making sure I was getting enough food. And personally, I think MyFitnessPal is great in educating you how many calories are in certain foods and choosing foods that might fit in better with your day. So for a lot of people, they've not just considered how many calories are in a banana, how many calories are in a piece of cake, how many calories are in peanut butter, chocolate, things like that, anything you're eating. And logging it into the app enables you to visually see what you're eating and how it fits in with your day, and also maybe even like how you feel after you've eaten it. So I've eaten this banana or this piece of cake, how hungry am I after it? Things like that. And so it enables you to just be aware of what's in food where you may not have considered before. So kind of the awareness tool, learning around what's in the food. Also, really importantly, assuming the calorie targets are correct, MyFitnessPal gives you a very precise way to measure food intake to help you be in a calorie deficit, to help you lose weight. So if that number you are sticking to is under what you're eating per day, it enables you to basically lose weight by logging the food every day of the week and making sure you are in that calorie deficit and just being completely, let's say, meticulous over the calories. So you are continuously in that calorie deficit and continuously losing weight. And if you eat out or if you go to the supermarket, calories are usually on all foods these days. So it's very easy to find what's in food. And if you're making a meal, obviously you can look at each individual item and weigh it out and make sure you're putting those calories into the app as well. So there's always a way to measure the calories in food, and MyFitnessPal brings all this together, enables you to do that to make sure you are like knowing exactly what is in the food that you are eating. So I'd like to go over now some negatives around using MyFitnessPal or other calorie counting apps for long-term weight loss. So the first one is like anything, the effectiveness comes down to how well you use it. So how sustainable is it? And for a lot of people I've spoken to who have tried calorie counting in the past, they've done it for a little while and it's educated them on the calories, but they just don't stick to it long term because of the effort it takes to continuously put all your calories into the app in certain situations. So yeah, if you've got like a stress-free day and you're not doing anything else, it should be okay. But a lot of people have a lot of things going on around them, like job, kids, things like that. And the extra mental effort and the extra stress it takes to do that sometimes is just too much. And they either end up forgetting or they don't have the energy to do it, or they've made a meal and it doesn't, like they can only estimate it. So they think, oh, why put it in if it's only estimated, things like that. So even things like, oh, the kid's not eating all their meal and I'm hungry, so I'm going to eat that instead. I haven't counted that. So little things like that. And then they end up thinking, oh, because I don't know what's in that, I can't log it, I can kind of estimate it, but what's the point if I can't be perfect? And also, like, let's say you go to a friend's house and they give you a meal, it's impractical in terms of knowing what's in that meal because you can't ask them to count the calories in it for you. You can't kind of weigh the food, and you can't, well, you can estimate it, But a lot of people think in their minds, oh, because I'm just estimating, there's no point because it's not going to be right. And the next thing I'd like to talk to you about MyFitnessPal and other calorie counting apps is the mindset stuff around it. So calorie counting is very perfectionism mindset. So it's hitting a specific number. And this can create a lot of stress around food. So thinking about food all the time and counting food all the time, food starts to dominate your thoughts. And of course, this takes away from other thinking and filling up your mind with unnecessary things that are just arbitrary numbers, because this calorie target that you're meant to be hitting, what happens if you go under it or over it? That perfectionism mindset leads into, oh, I'm a failure because I can't do it. I hit the number today, or I need to have like 5 grams more of this or 10 grams less of that. And it creates that stress and that thought process in your mind that doesn't need to be there, which can lead back into emotional eating and just taking up your thoughts, where your thoughts could be best used elsewhere, like with your family, with your job, things like that. And perfectionism creates black and white thinking as well, which basically means when I can't do it, I don't do it, because what's the point? So on those days where you can't count the calories, whether it's the meal with friends or you're at the supermarket or eating out, whatever, then you think, oh, what's the point? Because it's not going to be right anyway, so I won't. So it's that on-off the diet thing. And this happens often with cheat days. People say, I can't count the calories today, it's so much stuff. Or sometimes they do. But it's like, oh, it's the day off, so I'm just going to eat whatever I want. And so, yeah, this is not a good mindset to have. And since I've stopped counting calories, I've noticed my mind's so much freer from doing this. And I noticed this a lot with myself. I started eating all the time and was still able to maintain my weight, but it made me kind of binge on foods and choose foods that I wouldn't necessarily have chosen otherwise, because I knew I'd still be able to maintain my weight, but it was lacking health benefits at some points, because choosing certain foods, of course, are not always going to be good for the overall picture in terms of nutrients and what your body needs. So the next thing is it teaches you negative food habits. So for example, saving up food or calories for a big, huge meal or binge session. So knowing how many calories you need in the day or over several days, I've seen other people, and I've done this myself, what they do is they cut down the calories for a few days and they've got loads of calories for one session of eating, so 2,000-3,000 calories. And so it enables them to then eat all that food. And again, it teaches you to do this. And the question is, why would you need to do this if you have a good grasp of food? And to enjoy life, you don't need to eat 3,000 calories all in one go. So what happens again, the question is, if you don't track for one day, or if you stop using the app, you've taught yourself to do this. And if you're not tracking to that specific number anymore, then you've taught yourself to have these huge binge sessions, and your mind doesn't know anymore that you're not calorie counting, but it's something you've done in the past. And once you do it once, then it's easy to do again. But then this time, if you haven't done that saving up for calories and you have all these big binge sessions, and obviously it's not going to be very good for your long-term weight loss goal as well. And also, when you have these sessions where you overeat, then it often comes with the feeling of, oh, I did eat too much. I enjoyed it in the moment, but oh my God, I wish I hadn't done that. And so it's like that guilt around food and feeling like, oh yeah, sluggish, and yeah, but oh, it was nice, but I wish I hadn't, and I could have controlled myself a little bit more, kind of thing. So it's that short-term thinking around food, and why do you need to eat so much in one go? And what is going on? And is it emotional eating? Are you eating just for enjoyment, or is it what is going on basically? And it comes back to, why do you need to eat so much food? Is it emotional eating? Are you eating to fullness? Are you like overeating just because that's what you've taught your brain to do, and you need that to actually enjoy yourself around people? So it comes down to a lot of questions around that, which for different people is different things. But the main thing is, like, if you look at someone that is fit and healthy and has a good mental health, they don't need to eat 2,000-3,000 calories in one go to enjoy themselves. So just to lead on from this, MyFitnessPal teaches you to think about food quantity rather than food quality. So if it fits, it's okay kind of mindset, because I've got this whatever an amount of calories, 2,000 calories, for example, to eat. And if I hit that, that's fine. But the question is, how are you feeling after you eat the food? Are you getting enough nutrients, vitamins and minerals? And how does that make you feel in your day? So food is not just about the quantity, it's about what it's actually doing for your body and your health rather than just your weight. So rather than, choosing foods on quantity and what you really want, you're not teaching yourself to eat the right foods as well. So yes, you can still lose weight by eating anything, but how is it making you feel? How is it interacting with your body? And how is it nourishing you? So just a couple of things about measuring. So depending on who you are and how long you've been using the app, so knowing that quite a lot of the food in the database is user generated. So there could be mistakes in those foods. So if you're not aware generally how much is in food, sometimes you could be logging something and it might not actually be the right amount of calories because the person that's added it to MyFitnessPal could have done it incorrectly. And also, when you are weighing your food, when you're making your meals or whatever, if you weigh it incorrectly there, obviously you're going to be getting the wrong amount into the app. So for example, if you're weighing rice, for example, cooked, not raw, or the other way around, if it's that way in the measurement on the app, or again, some meat, let's say chicken, if you're cooking it first, then weighing it, it might lose some weight, things like that. Whereas in the app, it might have been the raw weight. So being aware of these things is very important as well because it could throw the numbers off. And also to be aware, when calorie counting, all food labels have a plus minus 20% error margin. So the food you're eating could be 20% more calories, or it could be 20% fewer calories. So you don't know exactly what's in it. It's just the allowed industry standard of we don't know exactly how many are in this particular food. And when we did the testing, it was plus or minus 20%. So that is what the Food Standards Agency allows on the packets. So you could be eating 20% more calories than you think. So if your whole meal is, let's say, 1,000 calories, it could actually be 1,200, but also it could be 800. So we don't know because, it's that error margin. So just be aware of that as well. The next thing to consider is MyFitnessPal use or other calorie counting apps and the link to eating disorders. So there have been a few studies done around this, and I can't say how good these studies are, but in one study of people with eating disorders, 73% of them said that they felt that the use of MyFitnessPal contributed to their eating disorder. In another study of people who ate normally that used MyFitnessPal for weight loss, 40% of them said that MyFitnessPal was a factor contributing to their eating disorders or behaviors. So there are links in studies with calorie counting and this precision in logging food to how it affects you up here and the side effects of how it makes you actually crave and eat more food. So not helping you reach your goal long term as well. And for a lot of people, self-worth can be attached to achievement, so doing well and not doing well. And if this is linked to an app where you're logging your food, if you're not doing it to your standards, your high standards, being perfect, then it can make you feel a certain way. Just like when you step on the scale and it doesn't tell you the number that you're expecting or you want, linked to how much effort you're putting in, then it can make you feel that certain way, which can affect your feelings over the whole day, which again can link back into your behaviors. If you're feeling a certain way, it can make you act in a different way, including eating more or different foods. And again, that can link into the way you get results with your diet.
And this graph is really important because it shows how sustainable diets are. So basically, along the bottom, we have how many changes you make, and up the side, we have the results you get. And this blue line is basically showing you, as you make more changes, the results you get are less. So, for example, let's put a line onto this graph. So we have this here. So 50% of the changes you make, if we draw that across, gets you about 90% of the results. And this is just rough, but the point of this is this first half, so where you see the green here, making these changes, it gets you most of your results. Whereas the second part, this red fill here, you can see that gap is tiny compared to the gap of the green. And so making a lot of changes, so things in this red area, things like calorie counting, counting points, counting sins, things like that, being perfect, having that precision mindset, gets you very, very little in terms of results. When we take it back slightly and make some smaller changes and get away from that perfectionism mindset. So smaller changes, some examples of that might be drinking enough water, getting enough vegetables into your day, getting enough protein, getting enough steps, things like that. And these things are not precise. They're not counting to the exact number, but they get you results. And as I said, you can look up the side of this graph and across, and you see that you're getting about 80-90% results with 50% of the changes you make. And that extra sort of 10% comes from being perfect. But the problem with that is the sustainability. So if we take these off and now put on the line for sustainability, this purple line is sustainability, and it's exactly the opposite to the blue line. So as you make more changes, the difficulty of doing your diet gets more. So as you make more changes and try to be more perfect, the less likely you are to stick to your diet. And so it's much better to make the smaller changes, the things we saw before, and get 80-90% of results than be perfect and only do it for a couple of weeks and not get any results.
And so the question over sustainability and perfectionism is something that really, really affects long-term results. And I'd just like to explain it as well with what I call the plank analogy. So let's say you laid a plank out on the floor and it's about 2 meters long and about 1 foot wide. And I said to you, what are the chances that you can walk across this plank without falling off? You'd probably be like, easy, it's on the ground, no risks, it's perfectly fine. And so I say, yeah, I'll bet you can't. And you take up the bet. And so you step on the one side of the plank, you look towards the other side, and you walk across. And you're like, there we go, I won the bet. And so nice and easy. So the point there is you look towards the other side and you just walk straight across. Now, if I take that plank and raise it 100 meters in the air and stick it between 2 buildings and give you that same bet and say, what's the chance you can walk across this plank? Now, it's exactly the same plank, exactly the same situation. You might be like, cool, it's a bit more risky now. What if I wobble? What if I fall off? What if I can't do it? What if I die? This is really dangerous now. Like, what if this? What if that? And so rather than looking toward the other side and walking across, you're considering all the things that go wrong, all the things that, might cause problems. And so this is exactly the same with what happens with perfectionism mindset. So thinking about the graph where you're less specific, less perfectionist, you've got less risk because you've got a bigger range to go wrong in and still get the same results. So with the perfectionism mindset, it stops you moving forward, stops you going and actually doing what you need to do, because rather than aiming towards what you want to achieve, all these things in your mind of what if this, what if that, what if this goes wrong, what if I don't do it, what if I can't do it, what if I can't do it today, all these things. And not only does it build up stress in your mind, which can lead back into emotional eating, but also it stops you moving forward. So that's why that graph is so important. So the sustainability of a diet over the long term in terms of what you're doing and making it easier to actually stick to. And yes, it's all about calories in versus calories out. And that's how the science works, but you're not a scientist and you don't need to be so precise. Your life is not so meticulous. Every day is different. You have stresses, you have things to do. And so being able to get the same results while doing less is always going to be more sustainable for you. It's always going to lead to better long-term results. And that is what I do with my clients. That is one of the ways we get great long-term results. So being able to not be so precise, get rid of that stress around counting or however the diet may be working for them in the past, and make it simpler and more sustainable in the long term. Now, I mentioned at the beginning of this video, my #1 tip for getting better results with your diet, and it's all around emotional eating. So this is something that a lot of people struggle with. So what I've done is I've put together a free webinar which you can register and select your preferred date and time to view. So that is down there in the description. So if you do struggle with emotional eating, if sometimes you eat things that you didn't want to eat because you get urges and cravings, this is for you. So again, that's down there in the description. And so guys, what did you think of this video? Do you agree with what I said? Do you use MyFitnessPal? Let me know in the comments. And like and subscribe if you haven't done already. And I'll see you in the next video.